There was a brief, beautiful moment in the motorsport history when engineers were told to forget everything about limits. The Group B cars were wild, fast, unhinged, and danger was part of the contract. The crowd got bigger and the rules, they barely existed. In this chaos, one rule became clear. If you wanted to win, you need all-wheel drive. Audi had cracked the code. Everyone cheered as they stole the spotlight. The center of attention was on our beloved poster boy, the Quattro A1. But while the world applauded Audi, somewhere in Italy, a rebel was taking shape. A machine that defied physics, logic, and convention, built with only one goal: to win with everything they had. Everyone said they couldn't win with rear-wheel drive car. Not in Group B, not against Audi. This is the story of the hitman of Group B, the last rear-wheel drive car to win it all. Lancia was a part of Fiat's group back in 80s, so joining in rally scenes should have come easy, right? No. Fiat had pulled out of rallying as it was too expensive, too risky, and not worth the PR hassle. They wanted to focus on affordable commuter cars, that is, safe, sensible, and needless to mention, boring. But Lancia disagreed. Their cars weren't meant to sit under shiny lights and marble floors. They were meant to be sideways on gravel. So they took matters into their own hands and entered rally championships, even if they had to do it alone. To understand this car, you have to forget everything you know about how rally cars were made. This wasn't a showroom version of a car with roll cage and racing stripes. Instead of upgrading an old chassis, Lancia saw Group B as a clean slate. So they started from scratch. This car was designed as a rally car first, truly born for Group B and not adapted for it, unlike other cars at that time. Lancia joined forces with Abarth engineers and Pininfarina, and within time the car was ready, but without a name. And before they could even set foot on the stages, there was a bigger hurdle: homologation. The rule demanded teams to build 400 production versions of their rally cars to qualify, and they needed a name. Lancia had an option to choose a name as catchy as Stratos or Delta, but they weren't interested in mass appeal or marketing flair. So they chose a name as focused as the car itself: cold, clinical, and surgical. A machine name for a machine purpose. Internally, it was known as Abarth SE037, as derived from its project code. Lancia simply called it the 037 and built only 200 road versions. What about the rest? Some say they drove the same few cars between the warehouses during inspection just to make it look like they had the numbers. True or not, FIA signed off, and just like that, Agent 037 was ready for its first assignment. It didn't start by breaking records, of course. Like any ambitious machine, it had flaws. It was twitchy, fragile, and underdeveloped. It needed serious refinement. On paper, the Lancia 037 should have lost from Quattro. Less horsepower and no turbos, and more importantly, a rear-wheel drive car on gravel? That's risky. But time has its own plans. The year was 1983. The rally stages became a battleground for Quattro and 037, a revolutionary versus a rebel, all-wheel drive versus rear-wheel drive, a road car turned rally beast versus a purpose-built rally car. One helped write the new rules for all-wheel drive while the other one learned how to read between the lines. Stage by stage, rally by rally, the unthinkable began to happen. The 037 was outscoring the unstoppable Quattro. It was nearly 300 kilograms lighter than the Quattro. Combine that with a mid-engined layout, It was faster, sharper, and more agile on tight corners and tarmac. On the contrary, all-wheel drive was king on snow, gravel, and mixed surfaces. But in pure tarmac rallies, the extra weight and drivetrain loss of it was a liability. Lancia knew that, so they targeted rallies where the 037 could win, like tarmac-heavy events. They played to their strengths and took key points when it mattered. With their advanced all-wheel drive car, Audi won the driver's title with Hannu Mikkola. But Lancia's 037 took the glory for the team title, which was what mattered to manufacturers most back then. It was the last time in the history that a rear-wheel drive car could ever claim that title. Walter Roll, the legend who tamed the 037, would later step behind the wheel of the refined Quattro. And if you ever ask the man what he prefers, he'd probably smile and glance at the one with two spinning wheels. At last, Group B would continue. The cars would get faster, wilder, and eventually too dangerous to survive. All-wheel drive became the standard. Every team followed. Rear-wheel drive disappeared from rallying for good. And Lancia, they weren't stubborn. They knew when a chapter had closed. Everyone thought it was about time Lancia accepted their fate. But they weren't done. Not even close. Because behind the scenes, Lancia was working on something else. Something with turbo. Something which gripped the ground with all four wheels. Something so magnetic that would bring an era to a thunderous end. If you know, you know.